Okay, today I'm going to be covering a technique for the Sumo Deadlift. Now there's a lot of little different variations depending on someone's personal biomechanics, depending on their hip sockets, how tight their hips are, how long their legs are, how long their arms are. So I'm not going to cover all the variations. I'm going to give you some key components, and then you and your coach can make those adjustments to kind of hone it in and make it perfect for you. Okay? But some key things that you want to do, what I like to do is when I set up, I like my feet to angle out at about 45 degrees. What I like to also do is make sure my shins are touching the bar. And you can do this at the setup, or you can, when you step up to the bar, or once you grab the bar, you can roll it back into your shins. Either way, when you begin the deadlift, for me, it's very important that you start with the bar touching your shins, okay? As far as grip, I like to use the mixed grip whenever I do powerlifting. And the distance for the arms is generally, you just shoot your arm straight down, and wherever you grab, that's about the distance. What you want to make sure is that you have your fingers somewhat on the knurling, because once the weight gets heavy, if you're not on the knurling at all, it's going to very easily slip out of your hands. Okay, so I set up, again, there's no magic distance for the width of the legs. What you want to do is you want to make sure you maintain vertical shins in this sagittal plane, which is looking straight forward, or this frontal or coronal plane, which comes straight across. So if someone's looking from the side, you want to make sure the shins are vertical. From the front, you want to make sure the shins are vertical. Of course, you will lock out. So it looks like this. I go down for my setup. I make sure my angle of my feet are right. I make sure my shins are nice and vertical. Okay. I get my setup. I like to externally rotate my shoulders, which is what I always do. So this is external rotation. Okay, rolling the shoulders back into the shoulder socket, okay, and maintaining a nice flat back. Also super important, and you'll see me say this on the majority of videos where there's any kind of lifting from the floor, always, always, always maintain a flat back, which for most of us means we have to arch our back. Unless you're a gymnast, you'll create too much of a C. But we want to make sure that we don't round the back, not even a little bit, especially the lower back, okay? So we're going to come down, we're going to get our grip. Okay, neutral spine as far as your neck. I don't want the neck flared back like that. Okay, we take a deep breath. Okay, and we lock out. Of course, a couple things we want to make sure we're doing. We take that nice deep breath at the bottom to splint and protect the core and protect the spine. Some people take the breath at top. I find it a little easier to take the breath at bottom. It really doesn't matter. As long as you have a nice deep breath lifting off the floor, you can let a little air out on the way up if you need to, or once you've locked out completely. You want to make sure you lock the hips out completely, right? So you have a zero angle here once you lock completely, okay? Legs are straight. It's a good lift if the knees are locked, the hips are locked, right? And the shoulders, again, if you have externally rotated position, your shoulders will be behind the bar. So that kind of takes care of itself. A couple of other things here. I want to make sure when you're coming up that you shove the knees out that way. Don't shove every time I say shove the knees out, people turn their feet out or they do something crazy. Keep the feet planted, okay, rotate into the floor and shove the knees out so that the knees, right, this is knees in, we don't want to ever do that. This is knees out, okay? Depending on your strength of your hips, your glutes, things like that, will depend on how much you struggle with that. But we want to make sure we maintain knees out. We lock, we tighten, we deep breath. And then we pull. Okay? That's a sumo deadlift. Those are some key components for you. There's obviously a lot more intricacies, again, based on the individual, but that'll get you started. See you next time.